One long season, done, almost done, Graham. 2 games in a row there, we finished, 2 wins. Is it papering over cracks, or can you see any sort of improvement?
Well, after that first half, I mean, the first half was as bad as it gets, and we did both agree, I think, that if Brighton had a full squad and they'd taken chances, it would have been as embarrassing as it was here a couple of years ago. But they really do miss certain people by the looks of it, and I don't know what was said at half time, but both of us felt that we needed to make substitutions, and probably the obvious one was Rasmus Højlund. And I thought when he came on, he certainly did make a difference.
With United, is it just a case that we're just too easy to play against and read, Graham?
Well, I remember you saying about the Arsenal game, Arsenal learnt to just let us have the ball and then pick us off, and they'll get the opportunity to score, and that's what happened. I mean, Brighton shut down all the out balls today, and Mark actually had a really good view of the game. He was sat high up, and he could see that. And again, you talked about this during the game, that players were picking passes that were obvious. We were going backwards the whole time, and it was inviting pressure, and it was making Sofian Amrabat look really poor, and that's sort of unfair on him, but it's kind of a reflection of his time here. And what I wanted to touch on though is, again, before the game we were speaking about the squad, and how this game, obviously he wanted to win it, but it definitely had an eye on the FA Cup final, all the substitutions related to it, and the main surprise today was that Garnacho and Ahmad both started. It suggests that Rashford's going to be a substitute, but I'd be keeping an eye open for Varane and Martinez starting that game, given those substitutions.
Yeah, it did feel like it in the second half. Even when it was 0-0, it wasn't like we were comfortable and we made these substitutions. It like he had, I'm not saying give up on the game, but he had one eye on Derby. He must have seen results elsewhere. No chance of United making it into Europe through the league and position. There is one big game left this season. Do you feel like he is, or he's got an idea that a win could save his job in this right now?
The more as the time goes on, the more that weeks pass, the more I think the final is actually irrelevant. Ineos have had a clear idea of what they're doing in the backroom staff, and I think the decision about the manager is the last thing on their mind. Where it goes, I mean, anybody can suggest, but I would, if they are going to change, I wouldn't be looking at people who are available. I think I wouldn't rule out people who are still in jobs. But
on one there, we just witnessed De Zerbi's football there with a second string side, and he still dominated Manchester United with a pretty decent side out there on the pitch. We talked about him not having that bit extra earlier on in the pre-match show. Do you feel like he has shown there today that there is a brand of football that might work at United with a young squad? Now, we are going to have a young squad when everyone is apparently sold on in the summer.
I just feel there's a plan A with him, and I mean, he's already dug himself into a hole when he said it's not about winning, it's about how I play. I don't think that he passes that test.
No.
And you can't, and we'll see where he goes, but I don't see him getting an elite club on the basis of what he's done at Brighton.
No. I mean, Ten Hag himself, Mark spoke to us earlier on in the last vlog and said he can see Ten Hag learning from mistakes that he's made before. He's trying to change things up. He changed the shape today. He changed the personnel at the right time. He's trying different things. Do you feel like it is him doing whatever he can to try and keep his job at Manchester United now, or do you feel like it is just a case of like, well, I'm just going to do whatever I want? I feel like everything's gone and lost anyway. Might as well just throw anything out there.
Well, I think what you can say is he's a bit consistent on. He's been consistent on about quoting the players that have been missing, and you've quite rightly called it out and saying you're making excuses. But if you looked at the team sheet on MUTV today, it was a 4-2-2-2.
Ranieri football.
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago, and whether he's fighting to keep his job, I don't know. But as I said before, really you have to look at his recruitment and what he's playing on the football pitch. And again, at half time, you speak to people at half time, there's a lot of pissed off people. Despite what happened at the end, where the fans were singing "We're going to Wembley" and all that stuff.
Sing when you're winning, you could say. If that turned out to be a defeat, it looked like it was going to be in the first half. It might have been a different crowd come the end of that game. A lot of work to do before the final. One more game to go, people. Do you agree with Graham? Do you feel like De Zerbi's got no chance? Do you feel like Ten Hag is trying? I think he's got a chance to stay in as Manchester United manager, or do you bring someone else in? Was that first half enough to convince you again that he is out of his depth when it comes to managing games? Let us know.